AmandaLand.
Y'all, we are joined for our Level Us Up segment by Latasha Marchand. And Latasha, I came across Latasha on the interwebs, okay? Because she has an organization called Jump Up Books. It's all about children's literacy. And when we find ourselves in a nation that is championing ignorance, not just in culture, but in policy, for instance, the Department of Education, as we know, has now been dismantled. And children K through 12 education has now been moved to the Labor Department. And I'm just going to read what it says just to lead us into your segment. I'm just going to read what the Labor Department says that they're going to do. This is from the White House. This is from the government's website. The Labor Department is committed to working with the Department of Education to ensure our K through 12 and post-secondary education programs prepare students for today and tomorrow's workforce demands. I don't even need to read the rest because that is a very thinly veiled language for we're just going to teach you how to be used. That's all we're teaching you. And we know that literacy is a key component to being able to move outside of the realms of control. So hello, Ms. Marchand. Thank you for joining us. And so talk to us about Jump Up Books, what made you start Jump Up Books, how you got involved in children's literacy, all the things.
Okay. All right. So lots to unpack because this administration, oh my God. Oh my God. Yes. But I've been basically a community organizer, I would say, but I throw my own events.
Where are you based?
I'm based in I'm in Inland Empire, San Bernardino.
Okay.
Yeah, but I've lived in Redlands before. It's kind of adjacent to here, but it's basically Inland Empire, that whole thing. And
so
there's a lot
y'all,
of
for those who don't know,
California. Yeah, California.
The
And the IE all day, Inland Empire. Shout out to all of us. Lord knows, we get forgotten. They only talk about LA. And it's real out here. We basically move here for all different reasons, but point is, we'll get there. But I have been doing community organization pretty much on my own here in San Bernardino for over. I was doing things back with the public access channel, and that had to be that was 2009.
Okay.
So I would my own money, go out and give backpacks and books, and I would just, I would talk to the how people say, oh, you don't know your who your mayor is or who your the coroner or whoever. I'm in their office. I was in the coroner's office. I've been writing for the newspaper, trying to ring the alarm, like, hey guys, something bad is happening, and then I find out certain things about them as well. Been to the city council meetings. I can tell you guys, it's a mess. How you're dismissed, and not only I know that there is, yes, absolutely being Black, yes, but they dismiss anybody that's not going with it. You really get dismissed, of course, if you're a Black person. But I'm saying, if you're not going with whatever the agenda is, no, they don't have no time for you. And then a lot of the organizations, you have to be very careful. Very cliquish for whatever reason. Just being honest. That's from a person on the ground. I don't consider myself an activist because I feel like when you take on that role as I'm an activist, that's a lot. I've done things, try to, help, but I do feel like, in my opinion, you're an activist.
What do you think you are?
For me, I feel like I'm a person that just wants to help. But I really want to genuinely help.
It's the reverse. It's the term activist makes it seem like there's a job for, it makes it seem like,
That is true. It's
you know what
supposed
I
to be
mean?
a
Like,
part of your walk. Yeah, I get that.
yeah,
Yeah, okay. Then
like
I can
all
then
of
I
us
can go.
should
Okay.
be activists.
And that's what I've really been saying. Like, and honestly, I don't, and I will get to jump. I'm sorry, you guys, I'm talking all over the place, but I wanted to just land this really quickly. I think that that's the problem, that we do think that it is something big or huge that everybody, but also I don't understand, even before all the drama and the mess that we are in, how people cannot care. There's lots of people sleeping outside. But anyway, we'll get there. But how I came up with Jump Up for School, um, actually, it was inspired by my daughter. Um, I have two daughters. My oldest daughter, she was really struggling and just wasn't finding her place. And then my younger daughter, just full speed ahead, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just always. And I was wondering, like, what is going on. And they said that there's a few types of kids, but you either have a really good test taker, or you have a child that's really afraid to, just um, they don't really know where they're going wrong, but something's missing foundationally.
Mm-hmm.
And so we had to get to the bottom of that. Found out really quickly, like, a lot of people get a little offended about how they get offended about things that they feel that they should know, especially,
Yes.
and you can be talking to anyone of any age, and I'll just give you guys some stats. So they, according to the national education, it's like a report card that comes out. It's the national educational literacy program.
Mm-hmm.
And they tell you 40% of fourth graders are not reading. They're reading on like they're not reading on level, right?
Okay.
And then the proficient children, they're reading on like they're not proficient. It's just they've lowered the bar so low that proficiency actually isn't what it's supposed to be.
Oh.
And the crisis that we're all in, that they keep calling a literary crisis, we're all in it. And this is the thing, very few people, it takes critical thinking, memory, and those foundational skills to build a really strong reader, right? And practice. You have to read all the time.
Mm.
Many people, we just don't. And a lot of it is time. But yeah, that's what's
So,
going on.
so tell us about how Jump Up Books
Oh,
works.
yeah. Okay. So Jump Up for School, it basically is a book club. But the difference between our book club and everybody else's is you have to unlock the next class for our book club, and you do that by reading. And we, in within the text, you will get different keywords and different clues, and it will tell you. But you have to read the whole text, and then you unlock the next class to go to the book club. And it just keeps going on, and it takes a child from where they are, wherever they are when it comes to like their learning. I'm sorry, I'm getting all nervous, but yeah, where they are with reading and understanding, comprehension, all those things. And I do partner with other educators and things like that, because for me, I'm coming more from a space of, I know that we need this program. I know we need good teachers. I know tons of teachers and tutors and everything. And so I bring them together, and they will come up with different prompts, and they'll come in and talk about whatever their favorite book is when they were kids, when they were their ages, different things like that. And then they'll just present it to the child, and when the kids read it and things like that, they basically are able to unlock the next course. They can move on, but we all move on as a course together, so no child is like, sitting back there.
So who do you feel is utilizing Jump Up for School Book Club the most? Is it homeschool parents? Is it just parents in general who are trying to supplement the literacy teaching that school is not necessarily providing?
Usually it's kind of an array of all those parents. We really do try to focus on the homeschool parents though, because they need it the most. and they especially need the engagement, because a lot of kids, they lack social skills. And I know probably listening to this, you'll think I do too.
Yeah.
Mine is more of, I'm out of my comfort zone because I plan on being at home.
Well, you're definitely in a car and you're holding a phone, so that doesn't make this easy. And now you have no service. So there's that. The service does not, I don't know why, what happened. But just so y'all know, I really don't like interviewing folks when they sit in their car. Just so y'all know. Because it's too many distractions. It looks crazy. I don't know what's going on. And then this happens because we're on the freaking these cell phones. They're not, they're not it. I'll wait for her to come back. But this is so necessary because I don't think enough of you all stable. Brandon, I could not find that word. I was looking for stable and it was just eluding me. What I think y'all also need to understand, parents who may not, and I know you might be like, you're not a parent, don't say anything. I'm gonna say what I want. School is not enough. School is not doing enough. That's not a shade to the parents. That's not a shade to the teachers. The school is literally not designed to do enough. So you end up having to actually have a curriculum mind around the child. That's not just in extracurricular activities. That's also in how you exist, how you're raised in your home. I will say that I was raised in a home that had a curriculum. I wasn't just going to school. When I was home, there was always education present in my zeitgeist. My room always had books. I was always given toys that had education aspects to them. I always had Sesame Street or picture pages. No, I mean, shade, but I always had Zoobly Zoo. There was always educational programming present for me. And I was also given access to listen to adults speak. So I was also not simply just around students or kids, right? So I was able to also hear adult conversation, and not adult conversation things that are inappropriate, but simply just mature, learned people talking. And I know that is a huge reason to why I also developed the way that I am. My mom never spoke to me like a kid. It's not to say that she didn't have a softness, but she never spoke to me like she would ask me, what do you want? So yes, NY is free. I heard more words. And I was always being challenged to think. I remember, because my mom is a nurse, I couldn't say someone has a baby in their belly. I had to say they have a baby in their womb. I remember always being corrected with saying, I couldn't say Nakia and me. It's Nakia and I. It's Nakia and I. And then I was also, along with being read to every single night, I was also tested. I don't know if tested is the right word, but my mom had this book called The Student's Companion. And so, she made the concept of learning interesting. So whether it was about learning types of geography and names of animals, et cetera, that was always present in my zeitgeist. And then I was always reading at a higher level than the class I was in, because my mom was also always doing additional reading. There was always workbooks. There was always something else. And let me tell you something. If you got to bribe your children, then bribe your children. Do this workbook and I'm going to give you some ice cream. Fine. People be acting like, no, they have to want to do it. No, they don't. No, they don't. You don't want to go to work. You go to work because there's a check on the other side. Now, Latasha, why are you in the car?
I am in the car because I have a husky that is 70 pounds and it's the holidays. So usually super quiet, right? But my neighbors are having people over and he is flipping out. So, and look, and I went to the library. I tried to get a private room. It's booked. And I'm like, this is what it's going to give today? Like, this is what we're doing? Why? And then what's worse is I stayed up like for days. I know exactly, how Jump Up for School works. We help kids write their own books. That's the goal. And basically they unlock chapters as we go. Okay. So we write all together, all in the same room. Even the parents get involved with this.
So this is not simply about reading. It's the fact that
No.
literacy is also about writing.
Yes. That's what I do. I wrote my first book in 2010. I self-published, and I learned very quickly that writing is rewriting. You have to, no matter how much you think you're paying attention to detail, get those extra people in the room, have focus groups, all that stuff. And we do all of that with the kids, all of that. Editing, writing, they go through the whole process. And we partner with local book clubs, take the kids so they can get, signed books and get the whole author experience. Yeah, that's the goal.
I mean, I think it's so necessary to point out that y'all literacy is also writing, because that's the element I think so much in the US people are missing, right? That you can read, but you can't write, so you can't even understand what you're reading.
That's what it's about. It's the comprehension part. And also memory. Because you can read all day, but if you're not retaining, that memory has to be sharp. So the more you do it, it's like a muscle, you exercise it. That's the main thing. And having educators in the room with the kids, helping them step by step, whatever they're missing. And then there's also kids, like we have an 11-year-old, and I tell you, the toughest interview I've ever been on was with the 11-year-old, because she's like, did you read this? And have you read this? And did you read, and she's on it. And she's like, I don't mind helping other kids, but hey, basically I do this. So, and she ran her own book club in her school. So you have to meet, and her mom's watching. So hi, Jazzy and Josie.
Hey, Jazzy and Josie. Jazzy said, do you have the criteria?
Yeah, for real. And I tell everybody that. Her, and then we have a little 2-year-old. He's not in the book club yet. He's 2 years old. But this little boy is so smart. His name is Oakland. Shout out to him and his mom. So sweet, super smart. His mom is an educator. And so, but I also want people to know we have kids that struggle too. So don't think that, oh my gosh, because I just don't put a lot on, oh, my kid is so smart. It's like, are they a good test taker, or, are they really enjoying what they're doing? Because, that's the main thing.
I mean, I was a good short answer test taker. Okay. However, once you give me multiple choice, I'm like, what are we doing? What are we doing?
If you can see and getting out of there.
Yeah, it's like,
yeah.
Can I just write an essay? Let me write an essay.
Now, look, that's me. That's me all day. If I can write an essay, and another thing, I know you may not think that today, but usually if I get an interview, I got it. No matter what it is. No matter what it is.
We are fascinated that you're sitting in. We're fascinating that you're sitting in a car that's not moving, but you have a seatbelt on. That's what we're fascinated about.
Yeah, of course. You know what? I love us.
And listen,
we go eat us up every day.
If that is to hold you, right? Like the seatbelt is just to hold you like a weighted blanket, we respect it.
Let me tell you. Okay, I have a friend, and she was in a parked car, and somebody just came by and hit her. And the guy flew through the window.
But not her.
His window. But not her. I'm telling you, keep your seatbelt on.
And now we see cars.
What do they say? If you're good at It's the law and it's a good idea.
Yo, yo. No, like
Yes.
on my GRE, I
Hmm.
completely tanked on the math, but that was always going to happen. But I got a perfect on the essay.
Right. And you know what? I rarely meet people that are great at both. Rarely. It's either one or the other. But I think and another thing that we do, we talk about our toolbox. You reading is not just I read this type of book, I read this thing,
Mm.
whatever it is literally everything that you put in your toolkit, like anything else. If you want to lose weight, if you want to, whatever it may be, whatever your goal is, you're going to have a toolkit. Even in therapy, when I went through therapy, my therapist was like, you're going to need your toolkit. Are you doing all the things? Are you drinking the water? Are you, all of those things,
So what would you
you know
say are some of the toolkits that you're putting together for the kids in terms of literacy?
that we do. The first thing that I do is I tell them that this is a living, moving organism, right? Because I think that you got to try. It is a multi-pronged undertaking. Okay, so
Mhm.
you got to try a lot of things because everything does not work on the same child. Everybody's going to get a syllabus, of course, and just kind of tell them, these are some of the topics that I would like to get to and talk about. But individually, I'm getting to know the child itself. Every child is going to need to know a different thing. So the prompts are going to be different. But I also tell the other kids that are in there, hey, we got to make space for this
Mhm.
person, because I think that we really get caught up in, I did this before, I've done that before. So I do a lot of unlearning with my program. It's a whole lot of unlearning, because if you come in there with the attitude of, well, I already know this, so why am I doing this? I do have an exercise where I have them tie their shoe no matter who they are, even if they're learning to do it. And the reason that I do that, and then after I have them tie their shoe, I teach them something new that they don't know. They will have the same reaction, same frustration, same anger, everything with both tasks. And I'm like, so you're mad about something that you've mastered, and you're mad about something you don't know. And it really is a very equal, leveling field.
Yep.
Yeah. But we need programs that are out of the box, that change, that are not so stringent, because our children aren't stringent. They're human beings, and they're just trying to figure this stuff out, and they're just not where we are. So and even, and I wanted to share this as well. Also, all of us, depending, because there's a few types of learning systems that they tried. The first
Mhm.
one was, it's called structural or standard, right? And that's the one that is where they'll show you the first letter of every word and the last letter of every word, and in a text, right? And
Okay.
then they want you to look at the picture and assume what that word is.
Okay.
Don't worry about the middle, right? And they taught people to read based on that. And that's insane to me. That's like teaching on vibes, in my opinion. Like, I'm
I was going to say,
sorry,
I don't
like,
know that that's helpful.
that's not helpful. And they, instead of teaching phonics,
I was about to say, we need
how
to be
we
hooked on
learn to
phonics.
read, there you go. They stopped teaching phonics and started teaching that way, because a guy said, oh, the kids just need to be around reading and they'll pick it up and they'll get it. And so when you're looking around, and I'm not talking about in a few cities or states, I'm sorry, a few states. No, no, no. This was done. Now, we had phonics and we had all that, but I do know when my daughter was young, they were talking about sight words, and I was
I,
like, what?
I'm
I
not a
don't do
fan.
that.
Not a fan.
No, I don't do that. And they were reading Cat in the Hat, and they were like, 2 and 4. You know what I mean? And I do think that yeah, I mean, I can't even say I think they did a disservice to so many people, so
Listen,
many
I'm
people.
I'm learning Arabic right now on Duolingo, and I do need to advance to like an actual teacher. However,
Hmm.
I can absolutely say that the reason I'm picking it up is because it's a phonetic language, and
There you
I
go.
learned how to read via phonetics.
Phonics. There you go. There you go. And that's the thing. Like, you're not messing with those building blocks. Phonics is just
Also,
that's
English
that's
doesn't
the
make enough
key.
sense. to not learn phonics.
That's what I'm saying. And words are just the fact that he said that you can basically just be around books and people that read and don't worry about the words in the middle, just put whatever word you want in there, and it's done some detriment. And also just sharing same statistics, same, same studies, they're saying that people that are in college getting master's degrees and beyond, they're saying that they can't read either. They're not proficient either. And I'm like, what?
Let me tell you,
How does that work?
this is also, you can't write. And now we have texting and chat GPT, et cetera, et cetera. And so,
Mm-hmm.
and I think a lot of people are missing about not being able to write is you cannot tell your own story. You cannot speak your own experience. You don't have the
Nope.
language to be able to
Uh-uh.
communicate, right? So like
Right.
I was teaching an art class at a community center, and I was speaking to one of the little girls next to me, and she was like, I don't like emotions. I don't like emotions. And I was like, well, I'm aware of this because someone in the class got emotional and you ridiculed them. And she was like, and I was like, so what is a better way that you could have managed that next time where you may feel uncomfortable by someone else being emotional? And she was like, tell them to stop. And I was no, that is not the correct answer. However, I was like, I think the reason why you may be uncomfortable with their emotions is because you can't understand them. You don't have a
Right.
language for them. And that means you don't
Right.
have a language for your own emotions. And so I was like, that's something that you have to understand is that we're losing communication, and the ability to communicate is so imperative to our capacity to exist at our fullness, right? So you're teaching these
Exactly.
children, you're giving these children an opportunity to have a full existence by even giving them the ability to communicate. Now, how are the parents
Absolutely.
responsive to this? Because I know they learning at the same time.
I've had so many parents come to me and share some things, and I'm like, wait, huh?
About their own literacy
Yes,
experiences.
about their own literacy, about things like I didn't really know how to read, but I pretended, and my mom couldn't read, so she didn't know. And so I would just be saying words, and she's like, oh, yep, sounds good. And I would get a whooping if I didn't read. So there's that. A lot of trauma around reading.
Mm.
A lot of teacher, a lot of teacher hurt.
Yeah.
Um, and but also people
The
that
teacher
had
hurt
really,
is
really,
wild.
yeah, and that's what I call it, because it took me so long to. I always wrote poems and everything. I'm one of those kids, write really
I
sad
know.
poems in
I
their
see you.
room.
I know.
You see, you feel me, and that's why
Yeah.
I'm an oversharer and all that. But yeah, so words are very important to me. And so yeah, when I got in high school, I finally met a teacher, and literally she was awesome. She lived out in the mountains, didn't have a TV, and she was just
Got it.
and I was like,
Salt of the
okay,
earth.
I gotta do this. Yeah. That's what I was saying. I gotta do this. So yeah, and I think that with the parents, I just hate to hear the word and they all say it. I just don't want them to be bored. I don't want them to be bored.
They say
They'll
that?
tell me about, oh my God. Like I do in-depth surveys, okay?
I don't want them to be
Please go.
bored.
Yeah. And they'll tell me about all the behavioral problems, how they're, not paying attention in school, how they're upset, or oh, they're so bad, or whatever the case may be. And then the minute I tell them, well, I have this great program and this is what we do. And literally, we help kids do this. And they will be like, well, are they going to be bored?
Let me tell you something. Andy in my class the other day said he was bored, and I said maybe it's because you're
Hmm.
boring.
and,
Maybe it's
and
because you're
and I
boring.
think,
Get it? And we got a whole class of art supplies,
right,
and you bored.
right,
Guess what? He got
right.
it together. He got it together.
Right. And I do think that that's like, that word has been used so much. That word was used back in our day. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I'm bored, or as if it's just this horrible thing. I'm like, you can be bored for a minute, because if you're waiting for somebody else to learn whatever it may be, I'm not saying the whole thing. Like, trust me, we do karaoke. We have so much, because remember karaoke, you're reading, you're reading the
Yeah.
words, and you're singing the
Yeah.
words. Yeah. There's so many different ways to teach kids how to read, you guys. Like, yeah. And so, yeah, but I'm bored. You know what I mean? Like,
But
I don't
also
want them to
like,
be
okay.
bored. Like,
But
like
also
this
like,
is just
okay,
not your thing.
you're not bored. You're just not
Hmm.
stimulated right now. And that's
There you
cool
go.
too. Like providing
That's
that
okay.
language. I mean, kids
Hmm.
are also these kids are also dealing with a lot more stimulants and distractions, et cetera, than us. So
Yeah.
what are some ways that
Yeah.
you've had to adjust in how to meet those differences?
Okay, so we have a lot of kids that have some serious things going on at home, right? And for me, I make sure that every single time we have any type of meetup, we have food. I do the food, and then we talk and we do this thing, and it's called pontificating, and it's just a big think. We just sit there and we just think, and we think of ideas, and they don't necessarily want to talk about what's going on at home. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. So we do this thing, and I it sounds real bougie, and they get all excited. They think, oh, what is that, and what we're gonna,
I
and then we're
love
just gonna sit here and think. People need to pontificate.
it.
Do some pontificating.
I love it.
Yeah. So there's so many ways you can teach kids. Like, get out there, and this is the thing. We're called Jump Up for School, not because we think that I never want to be a school. I don't ever want to be dealing with the rules, and you can't teach this because you're teaching that, or
Which is
who you
not
can
what school should
teach.
even be. I
That's
mean,
not what it should be. No, no. The minute you get caught up in oh, I'm gonna go whatever, you know what I mean?
yeah.
Nonprofit or whatever you're gonna do. The minute you do that, you're literally just subject to, okay, well, only these kids get to go here, you
Yep.
know, and only they get to do this. And it's just like, okay, if I'm frustrated because I'm not doing good in a class, and maybe I don't like who I'm sitting next to or whatever, the last thing that I need to do is to come home or whatever, or go to a program and be told, nope, you can't do it, nope, you can't participate, you don't have the grades up. You don't know why. We need more people to focus on the people that need the help, no matter what.
Um, you guys, so address your questions to Ms. Marchand. You know how we do in this classroom. You know how we do in this class. We say Ms. Marchand, extra, et cetera, et cetera. While you were doing that, so I'm in the process of developing this character and a project called Rara's Radical Readers. And I'm trying to figure
Okay.
out. So the idea is that every episode she'll do a book report about a radical children's book, and she'll always
Hmm.
do a song. And this is
Hmm.
Rara. Um,
Oh, she's so cute. She's
so
so
this is
cute.
Rara, and
Yeah.
so I'm still like figuring it out and what I want the
Yeah.
episodes to consist of. So my first question to
Yes.
you is, in a space of literacy. So I love that you said pontificate. So one, I love that it was just like the kids are thinking, but two, I have to have every episode a segment. We do a word of the week episode segment here,
Okay.
but there always has to be a word of the show segment,
Yes.
where we're using the word. And I mean, on Sesame Street, there used to be like the word of the day, or I mean, the letter of the day
Yes.
or whatever,
The
and then
letter of the day. Yeah. Yeah.
it would be filtered
Yeah.
throughout the show. So I want to do that with
Uh-huh.
the word. But I wanted to know if you
Right.
had any other tips that you feel like should be included in my little show that you think is really helpful to kids and parents around literacy.
Yes. Okay. Around literacy. Okay. I'll make it about literacy because I had a tip for him that it was
Go
really
ahead, go
good that
ahead.
I
I
that I
mean,
think.
give
Okay.
whatever
And
tip.
this just goes to how kids think. Okay. So if
Mhm.
you have a small kid, and I got this from Super Nanny years and years ago. Okay. If you have a small child and you take them outside, well, before you go outside, it's cold outside, whatever, and you want to put on their jacket. Take that child outside, because when they're in the house, it's warm. So they don't understand why you're putting a jacket on them. Take them outside, let them feel a little bit of the cold. They'll know they'll need a jacket. That's a tip. because they don't understand. Why are you putting a jacket on me and I'm warm? They don't
So
get that.
how do I? So translate that to me in this context.
Okay.
I got to make a kid understand. I got to create the scenario for them to understand the point.
Yes. Really curious minds, adults and children, they need to know the why. I'm a person, I need to know the why. Some kids, they're just
Girl,
do it.
People hate me for that. They hate me.
Amanda, let me tell you, that's why when I wrote under your comment, I said, you need your flowers, girl. You need your flowers. Because people don't understand. Like, I feel like in a way, we're not the same, but we have so many similarities in the facts of, when I tell you, like, I am always the one that's standing up or saying something out of turn. I'm the person that's always like, no, we can't do that. Yeah, they're like, oh, here she come. Oh, she's gonna tell us that I don't like the way you do that. I don't know, especially when it comes to kids. I'm the first one to be like, no, advocate for them.
Listen, I done almost got in fights in a grocery store over somebody's child.
Yes.
Why are you talking to that baby like that? The baby is 2.
If you want to make me mad, look.
No, your business is happening in front of my face. If you wanted me to mind my business, you'd have made it my business. That's a 2-year-old that you're yelling to stop touching things. The baby should be touching anything it can. I'm telling you, at my job I used to be at, I'm telling you, it would be like, I don't know, we would get like 1,400 parents a week. Every single day, we would get like tons of people, and I can count on one hand who I would let watch my kids. And not to be that like, it's not abuse. It's like they forget almost. Something's going on. My mom did. As an adult, I had to tell my mom, like, who the hell were you talking to? I was 12. Yeah. And kids, they need to feel a sense of respect too. And it never happens. No. Just that sentence alone, people are, what are you talking about? Like, no, they really do, you guys. We have to, they need their sense of, they're still a person. I'm going to give a homework assignment at the end of each episode for the parents to do with their kids. A writing assignment. Because I feel like I forgot about the writing element. That it's not just about reading. I forgot about the writing element. No. And especially if you get them to write about something they're interested in, like themselves or whatever, because a lot of times we want to shove a book in their face. I'm telling you, they want to talk about them most of the time, or they absolutely don't. It's one of the other. Let me just say something. I'm at a point in my life where I really just want to tell my mom about what I'm doing. And she want to talk about politics. I'm like, I called you to talk about myself. Oh, yeah. So I know how absolutely. I feel the same way. I'm like, I don't want to talk about Kamala Harris, et cetera, et cetera. I'm talking about that. And what you do all day. No. Yeah. I'm going to tell you about what I got going on. That's what the conversation is. She had to kind of just accept it. And the minute it veers off, I'm like, no. I was putting together, I don't know why I keep saying literally when I said I need to take that out of my vocabulary, but here we go. We all have crutches. My crutches, we do. My crutches, and like, oh my gosh, I'm such a valley girl. Like, and then she was like, and then I was like, and it was like, what? It's that California thing. It's the California. It is Cali. It gets to you. Yeah. But I was going to tell you, and then I forget. Jeez. No, you just opened up a whole world for me because when I'm gonna talk while you remember, because it'll come since you're not thinking about it. So when I was researching for this show, I was looking up like book report assignments, right? So just to see like what they would ask for kids. And the book, oh my God, my dog is that's FedEx. Hey, look, all the time. That's why I'm not at home right now, because that's what my dog is doing constantly. I'm like, what is going on? Yeah. So I'm like, okay, I'm looking at these book report assignments and they're all super duper 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 basic, right? They're just like setting, characters, like what happens in the book. And I'm like, that's not a book report. That's just like I don't even know what to call that. But it made me say, like, I want to design one that is actually more involved. Because what I really am starting to realize is that so much of our learning in terms of academia and intellectualism is very disaligned and disconnected from morality, from ethics, from principles, and from values, right? And we seem to only see that thinking in like religious schools, so to speak. But even that is just a very, very narrow mindset.
It is.
I think I was very fortunate to have teachers who would be like, this was the right thing to do, like for a character, right? Like they would actually like attach morality and attach like ethics and life lessons. And so when we're reading these books with our kids, it's not just about being able to read, it's about reading between the lines and also being able to understand the allegory.
Absolutely. And that's the thing. They had college professors that were saying, these kids don't know compare and contrast. And you want me to try to teach them, about world history or anything like that? And also, he's, a lot of people, they say, oh, well, present the information and let them make their own decision. He says, no, somebody needs to guide them, because when they see actual facts, they're like, no, because they think that facts are up to their interpretation, and they're not. And then what's even worse, they think that's what critical thinking is. If it's up to their interpretation, and that we have a lot of cracks.
This is so, like you're a blessing in many ways, but me selfishly, I'm gonna say you're a blessing for this project I'm working on, because I know that I have to like fill a gap. I've decided that I'm going to save the world. So I have to fill so I have to fill a gap with this that is missing. So like you have like Miss Rachel, who really gets to the kids in terms of like she provides a disciplinary element to it, but she also provides like social skills, but she also provides like just like an entryway into understanding what is what, right? However, the critical thinking aspect that's not necessarily like her jam, but that is something that I'm trying to figure out how to implement, because I want this show to be multi-generational. I want you as a parent to want to watch, because you also like, let me hone my little skills. And so when you talk about compare and contrast, it's like my character Rara, she needs to not just be talking about characters as this is the character. She needs to implement compare and contrast. She is the protagonist. She is the antagonist, right? Like these types of things.
Absolutely.
Facts or opinion. Name 3 facts from this book. Name an opinion from this book. Like these types of things. And these are so, these are things that you're pointing out to me that I just do by rote, because I was trained. But that you're right. In the breakdown, it's like we got to break it down back to fundamentals.
Yes. Everything, because you will already said it a million times, but it's the fundamentals. Okay. So you tie your shoe. Just always remember the anger and frustration that people feel with very basic things. It's why we have the explosions of the, the Karens and the Magas and the whole shebang. And even, like people in our own lives, some people, you can't tell them like, hey, you're driving a little fast. They just, what are you talking about? They snap your, ready to snap your head off. We got to deal with that. And a lot of it is the I know. I call it the I know disease. It's the I know. I
have the I know disease.
We all do. It's the, I wanted to call it first world, but I've been calling this place third world lately,
This is a fifth world. This is a fifth world.
Yeah, we're in a whole different dimension. We're not even in the galaxy right now.
They've made up a whole other version of whackness, which is really discomforting for a lot of people, like, because they're realizing like, oh, it is bad. Like I didn't just make it up. Yeah. So we have a question from the great Carmeng, who says, Miss Marchand is teaching, who, by the way, is demonstrating to you all exactly how I want questions to be written. Ms. Marchand, is teaching the story graph important? Characters, plot, conflict, climax resolution to help with critical thinking. I believe it is. But go on.
Absolutely. Even when we're not only just talking about teaching to build a story or anything like that. Everything that you do, we talk about character building and world building, and does it make sense? And it has to have a conflict. You have to have a character that, before it was just like, oh, you got to have the boy that likes the girl and the whole shebang. But I'm trying to get kids away from that. I think that, and I'm not a rude, like, oh, kids should be. I'm
No,
just
there's just other
saying,
stories.
there's other stuff. Like, there's so many things to write about, and why do we got to go back to that? So yeah, I'm telling you guys, like, I feel personally, just with the people that I've partnered with, and the development of this, it's a really, really good thing. And I tell people, and they also say, if your child is not reading, to the level that they're supposed to by fourth grade, do you know that they say that it's pretty much done? And I'm like, absolutely no, it's not. They said it's extremely difficult to teach you. Well, we got a lot of teaching to do, and we want to get those first through fourths in there as well. Because look at I mean, if this is what's the root, or one of the roots of all this, let's get it out now. I've been wanting to for so long, and I called so many preschools. And if I would have recorded it, the lady who recorded when she was calling the churches,
Yeah.
if I would have recorded me calling these preschools, schools, all this stuff, they basically told me, we have our own program. No, we don't need it. Heard the whole spiel, and it wasn't all, how it's been here, but heard the whole thing. And they said, we do our own thing. And I was literally floored. I was like, I'm looking at
And you don't
at
do your
the
own thing.
statistics. You don't. What you're doing is not working, but you want to keep doing it. And then you expect kids to show up. The teachers are bankrupt because they're like depleted, because they're trying to teach. Think about all the things that I broke down today. They're teaching, piece by piece to 30 something kids up, either a class, or if they're changing. It's just a lot.
And
We
you're
have a lot of
damned if you do, if
challenges.
you're damned you don't, right? Like, so you'll have a
Yeah.
class, and like some of those kids in that class, they may not be as advanced, so you're leaving them behind. But then you have kids in the class who are more advanced, and you're also leaving them behind.
You
Right?
are.
Then you have the kids who are limited by other things, whether it's neurodivergence or ADHD or what's going on at home, et cetera, et cetera. Like, everybody gets left behind because there just isn't enough.
Yeah.
And I find that there's like you said, the I know is so often attached to capitalism too, right? Because it's like, if we take on another program, then it makes us look like we're not effective, and like it's like a weird skewed version.
Ego. I'm telling, the best thing I ever did for myself is to drown, like,
Ego
seriously,
death.
drown the ego. Yeah, we
Ego death
have to.
is
We have to.
it's
Because I'm
painful.
telling you, and it stems from being highly criticized. One of the reasons, of course, I'm not a psychologist, but that's what I've heard, you guys. It stems from being constantly criticized. You get to where you have a hyper, like, inflated sense, because you're protecting yourself. I see you protecting yourself all day. All day. Yes, all day. And but it always takes one to know. I get it, because I used to do a radio show, and of course I didn't have any type of audience how you do, but I'm saying I used to do a radio show for like 10 years. I did ASMR before people were even doing it, and now look at it, it's just exploded, right? But I like the calmness of it. I had to, I was trying to tame the beast, because I can be a mess, not so much anymore, but back in the day, you guys.
Listen, I mean, but that's growth. That's maturation, Like, I was talking about that this morning on Patreon, just about how in the past there would be things that I felt, but I didn't have the language for, which brings us back to communication, right? And so I would end up still going forth with a red flag because I didn't trust my feeling, and I also didn't have language. So I would just doubt that I had a real reason to not go forth. But then the red flag would blossom into a red bouquet, and you're like, oh, that's what that was. All right, let's take another question. Okay. Olivia says, what are your thoughts with children who are dyslexic? Are there toolkits for them?
there are toolkits for everybody, and any type of dyslexia, any of those challenges are, well, let me not say all to it, because there's definitely things, I don't like to make things seem so easy.
Mhm.
You need to take a little bit more time with them, and that's why what I call like the bonus program, like mine or something like that,
Yeah.
is so important, because they have to take their time. And also, just because you're giving space with, as far as the other kids being bored, just because you're giving space to someone who's struggling doesn't mean you have to do nothing. That's not what I'm saying. Like they're waiting for this person or anything like that. We have other activities that they can be
That
engaged with.
also teaches
But
compassion, though.
that's what I want to teach, and compassion so much, because it's so lacking.
It
It's so
teaches
lacking.
compassion. It teaches
Hmm.
consideration. You
Yeah,
know, like
yeah.
you don't
And
have
they're
to
rushed.
be. Go ahead.
Yeah, and kids are rushed all day. Keep in mind, they said years ago, kids shouldn't be starting school before, like, all this up at the crack of dawn at 5 a.m. Kids are not wired that way. So a lot of times your kids are tired, like you got them in this and this and this. They're tired,
Listen,
y'all.
your girl used to be tied in that school. I was like,
Yeah,
ooh.
I'm telling you. Yeah, and I'm an insomniac. I've always been my whole life.
Oh wow.
So I'm like going to, and literally, because I have like, as anybody could tell, you guys know I got ADHD. So
Hilarious.
and like everybody, but I'm telling you, like, staying up all night and all that stuff, and then you got to go to school, and you're like, what? Like, I gotta be a person, right?
Right. I gotta
And
show
then on the
up and
weekend, and then if you get a parent that's churched and they want to church you, ooh,
not church as a
they
verb.
want to church you, because I told you we're unlearning a lot of things.
Yes, we are.
We
So we have
are.
another question from @Theo88. Miss Marchand, do you have to be in San Bernardino to volunteer or participate with your literacy program?
Absolutely not. We actually are virtual right now, so you don't have to be in San Bernardino at all. But I do ask that anybody that comes and volunteers, one thing with everything with me is joy. No matter what's going on, if you have that joy and you love kids, and not in the creepy way, because we do got that
Yeah.
stuff going on. Yeah, please contact me. And one thing I want to also say before I leave, I really am probably going to have to do a GoFundMe, because I want to install these cameras that you can watch your child at any time, any parent, like, is not in the restroom or something like that, but you can watch your child and know that your child is okay and safe. And that's for the people that are going to be in person with anybody that's with Jump Up for School.
Got it. I
Yeah.
see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Well, Miss Marchand, thank you so much. People, if you want to get involved with Jump Up for School, you can go to jumpupforschoolbookclub.com. Is that accurate?
You know what? I want to just tell them, go to Jump Up Book Club at Gmail, because we're redoing our website. Jump Up Book Club
And just
at
send you
Gmail,
and just send you a
and
message.
just send me one, and you'll have it. Yeah, you'll have it too. So yeah. So Jump Up Book Club, you guys. That's another thing. My prices are very affordable. So yeah, and people were mad at me about that. So because it's not a come up for me.
They were mad
It's a
at you. What do
mission.
you mean?
So they okay. So where I worked, without doxing myself, um, that's what they did. They actually provide the funding for childcare and things like that, right? So that's why I was able to survey so many kids and stuff like that, and parents. And so when I came up with my program, they were like, "Why is it so cheap?" And I was like, well, because they were expecting, these high end prices. And I said, well, I have always, everything I've ever made has been for working poor, or, you know, under, you know what I mean? That's what it's always been about for me. And they had a huge problem with that. And I think that's because maybe they thought I was going to impede on what they had going on. Maybe they thought I should go and compete with higher, in places. I have no idea.
So they were upset with you that you weren't charging more.
Yeah. Yeah. Not my job. I don't want to say that, but when I interacted with parents, not my job. My job was just so
Oh,
happy that it for me, pretty much. Yeah. But no, people that I and a lot of the daycares. Yes. Yeah.
that's
Because
weird.
they think that it should be like $600 and $700 a week, like daycare, and I'm like, we only meet like once a week. It's not. It's an
Daycare
hour.
is
Like
already overpriced. Everything is
exactly, way
overpriced.
overpriced. Way overpriced. Way over. But it's like all the prices have to come down. Like everything.
Everything.
I mean, everything. It's just crazy. Yeah. But no, I try to make it super affordable. Yeah.
Well, we appreciate you. Shout out to your dog. What's your dog's name?
My husky, his name is Van Helsing.
Shout out to Van
Because of
Helsing
course.
out here killing the vampires, doing what
Of
needs to be
course.
done. And thank you for being on a mission, not a come up. So you all,
Yes.
this is what needs to happen. And I think a lot of people also feel like, oh, like you have to have some big organization to be able to make an impact, to be able to create these programs, but that's what it's going to be. This is also a part of community building. It's not just feeding people. It's not just housing people. We also have to be teaching each other.
Yeah, we're in charge of the next generation, you guys. So it's just us. We all we got.
We all we got.
We
Thank
all
you
we got.
so much, Latasha. And shout out to
Thank
also
you.
keeping us abreast that we should have the seatbelt across our breasts, even if we are in a stationary car. All right,
that's
y'all.
right. Things happen. Stay safe out there.
She said, stay safe out there. Man, that was awesome. Imagine